Greetings. This is Sacred Woman Practitioner Tatami. And Tyra. And Taka's out here too. We're having the Sacred Sister Circle pre-made this time because we're trying to do the entire womb yoga, which does take time, and I just didn't want it to end up being like a 3-hour session on a Monday. So I decided to try and do it in parts and come back to you all. I'm sorry about the lighting and everything. This is like, I tried to find a good spot, but this is the best I could do. So, please enjoy. This is the Sacred Movement Month. Today we are doing the actually, it's not in the Sacred Woman book totally, all of these moves, but it's 195, page 195 if you have the Sacred Woman book. And if you have the Overcoming an Angry Vagina book, that is where all of the moves, Womb Yoga Dance, Womb Yoga, are put into that book, that installment. So, and that's a really small book, so it will be easy for you to find those pages. Trying to keep an eye on my kids. All right, so I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me. If you end up liking what you see, please go to patreon.com/Sacred Sister Circle and donate $1 a month. It's actually very helpful, especially when everybody cumulative, adds together. Then we're able to get more of the books that I read aloud in this circle, as well as other tools that I use. And as well, I'm able to give womb readings to people who normally wouldn't be able to afford their womb readings. That's also where your money goes. So thank you so much for everybody who supports me, and thank you to the people, small, big, even if it's just liking a video and subscribing. Thank you for supporting this cause. For all the people who are trying to go through this book but either can't, or it's just not the time for them to work with Queen herself, or they can't find a group of their own. That's what this is for, and that's what you're supporting. So thank you. All right, so we're going to start with our womb yoga dance, but I did want to offer up a prayer to the ancestors first, just because I don't have libations and stuff out here. I'm just trying to watch the kids and talk with you all. So we're going to pray first, and then we'll move into our womb yoga and then into our sacred studies for the day. Ancestors, guardians of sacred movement, fill us with your joyous spirit. May we feel your divine presence in every part of our body temple, coursing through our veins as we dance our gratitude for the sacred movement that renews our life forever. Sacred woman in the making, sacred woman reawaken. Sacred spirits, hold me near, protect me from all harm and fear beneath the stones of life. Direct my steps in the right way as I journey through this vision. Sacred Spirit, surround me in your most absolute perfect light. Anoint me in your sacred purity, peace, and divine insight. Bless me, truly bless me as I share this sacred life. Teach me, Sacred Spirit, to be in tune with the universe. Teach me how to heal with the inner and outer elements of air, fire, water, and earth. Ashe. I am a sacred woman. 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 So our Sacred Woman studies are going to start back in the section called Throughout My Life. It was dance that healed me. And we're starting on page 190. In my past and my present, I've used dance along with natural healing to deal with all my ills. When I got married, I danced to celebrate the union. When I got pregnant, I danced to prepare to have a healthy baby. After having my baby, I danced to get my tone back. When I was breastfeeding and could not separate from my baby, I wrapped her on my back, traditional style, and danced us across the floor together. When I divorced, I danced to heal my heart. And when I got a new man in my life, I danced to show appreciation and gratitude to the one divine spirit. If my girlfriend hurt my feelings with some piercing words, I danced to mend my soul. If my life appeared to be falling apart, I danced it back together. When new work comes through or a new opportunity opened up, I danced to rejoice. Dance, like my biking and nightly walks, has been and always will be a part of me. I dance because, like all natural living and healing methods available to me, it works on my body and soul. Dance once saved my life. I was riding my bike home after teaching a dance class in Bed-Stuy when suddenly a large, fast-moving car struck my bicycle. Time stood still. A voice deep within me spoke and said, "Dance. You won't die if you just dance." I released the bicycle and extended my arms, pointed my feet, and did a classic swan dive across the hood of the car. The driver and I stared at each other through the opposite sides of the windshield. After a few moments, I climbed down off the hood, retrieved my battered bicycle, and went home. If I had tensed my body, I'm sure I would have been injured badly and probably hospitalized. I will admit I was shaken up, but I knew I hadn't suffered even a scratch because I had danced. I offered deep gratitude for such a life-saving gift. I've been dancing since my teens. I was dancing, healing with the Sylvia Fort Dance Company in the late 1970s, filled with the rhythms of Brazilian and Haitian dance as we performed Yonvalu. During this time, I danced and acted with the Demigods Theatrical Company, directed by Joseph Walker. I danced at a Yoruba ritual with Baba Ishangi, a master spiritualist and teacher of African culture. In the late 80s and early 90s, the Orishas danced through us to help heal souls in great need. I danced for the grandfather and grandmother spirits of the Native American sun dance and sweat lodges in South Dakota. I danced at the Hare Krishna temples with Landini Shakti Das, my longtime spiritual friend who helped raise Krishna consciousness. I danced with my family at my grandmother and grandfather's church in Louisiana as we all shouted in praise of Jesus. I danced with Alatunji Dance Company as his drums of passion rocked my soul. I danced a spirit dance at a funeral, a homecoming ceremony in Ghana, West Africa, with Joe Mensa and his family. I danced and healed through African dance classes with Professor Doris Green at Brooklyn College, Charles Moore in Park Slope, Chuck Davis up in Harlem, and Denny Zulu over in Queens. And there was jazz dance with Alvin Ailey, and Dunham dance with Joan Peters, and belly dance with Aja, and Juju spirit dancing with Bernadine at the Samai Tawi Center. I performed the dance of the womb at sister-to-sister gatherings, at birth ceremonies, naming ceremonies, and Kemetic rituals. I danced to bring forth the indwelling healer, to work up a divine mojo, resolve conflicts, create new conditions, or purge out negative juju imposed on me by this society. I dance through my house like I'm talking with a kick, and I spin twice through the hallway to the bathroom as I run the water in my tub. Then I leap into the kitchen laboratory and spin my arms around the pot of herb tea. I dance in my children's room, sending good vibes into their atmosphere. All right, so that was such a beautiful little part where she's talking about sacred space and that element of like, you don't need smoke cleansing. Oh, I'm falling. You don't need smoke cleansing. You don't need all of these things that you have bought to cleanse your home. You can just literally dance through your home. This is something that I use, when I bless my husband's work clothes before he goes to job. He has like a uniform. He's a plumber. So I focus on those, on healing, on his items for the job.
What's that mean?
Sorry, Taco was talking to me about somebody walking by. So anyways, my husband's clothes, I'll dance around them. I'll lay hands, I'll pray. I'll smoke cleanse or sprinkle some Florida water or something. But the point here is that you can use your dance to cleanse energy, to cleanse your space, to change the energetic frequencies of your space. You don't necessarily need to go buy sage or whatever else it is, that people commonly purchase. One day my mother was not feeling like herself and asked, "Helen, could you dance for me?" It seemed dance made her as happy as it did me. In between writing these pages, I've gotten up off the floor where I write most of the time, and I started dancing to move and stir my creative juices so I could go and write some more. If you're an artist or a sacred woman and we're tight, I'm going to talk you into taking a dance class with me. I've shared my dancing spirit with Erykah Badu, Hazel Goodman, and Princess. I almost persuaded my beloved client Ben Vereen to take a denim class with me. To this day, my eldest son Supernova and I dance at Alvin Ailey's School of Dance so we can summon extra healing in our times of need. When you combine cleansing and dance, you create a blissfully charged combination that's beyond words. Dance has always been intertwined with my healing work because for me, there's no separation between me and dance. You see, in African culture, our spiritual lifestyle, our rituals and ceremonies have always been expressed through dance from the beginning of time. In my mama and daddy's day, they released their woes and expressed their joy through jig and the Lindy Hop. I'm just maintaining my tradition, and it continues to feed me. I found that as long as you keep dancing, keep your body flowing and moving, diseases of the body, mind, and spirit do not settle in, and mental and emotional disturbances have no place to fester. Sickness shows up in a body that doesn't go with the flow, but if you actively purify, fast, pray, and do the spirit dancing, aches and pains, physical energy blocks, a broken heart, and even high blood pressure can be flushed out of your system. I think it's so important, especially to remember that she did note that you are doing all of these physical things that are, diet, health, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the time, sometimes people will do all those things and they won't see any difference. And the difference is that you're not moving. There's no sacred movement to your life. There's none of that deliberate healing movement that you're incorporating into that healing lifestyle that you now have. So go forth and dance as the ancestors have gone before you have danced. Dance and shake off the madness and the blues of the... Oh, can you put your shoes back on, please? Dance and shake off the madness and the blues of the unnatural society we live in. For spirit dance contains a nature cure that modern medical science cannot duplicate. I will never forget a particular Wet Renputz festival, which falls during the month of my birth. All day, our African Kemetic community celebrated our new year with drums, tambourines, bells, hesi, which are chants, spoken word, fashion, drama, and prayers. And then we danced. We danced, led by Abdel Salam, the priest of Harlem's Shrine of Bes, a master dancer, choreographer, and director of the Forces of Nature, a world-renowned dance company that represents our culture at its best. Abdel took our village through a healing dance ritual. He called forth 7 brothers and 7 sisters to face one another, men on one side, women on the other. The dancers did as he asked, even though no one was sure what was about to take place. He then told us that we as African people used to dance in many ways, for many reasons, resolving conflicts, settling arguments and disputes between men and women, between husband and wife. So dance became the conduit in our culture for resolving heated emotional conflicts, especially between the sexes. That part especially referring to the ancient African custom of using dance to resolve conflicts. Does that not sound like basically the birth of hip-hop, the birth of b-boying, rap battles, using those artistic elements to resolve conflict? It's just in our DNA. And, it just shows that, hip-hop was born in its earliest form so many centuries before, and it just rolled into what it is now because that is so ingrained in us to not necessarily fight physically, to not necessarily get to the point where you're killing people or you're, it's just violence. There are so many other ways, especially as humans, for us to resolve these conflicts, for us to even take it a step further and deeper and learn with each other and communicate and showcase ourselves and release the energy and come to an understanding with a more calm and secure energy. Abdel gave a sign to begin the healing ritual. Couples paired off, ready to duel. He reached his hands up towards the sky, towards Mother Newt, and the drums began. He dropped his hands down to the earth. Father Jeb, and the dance battle was on. The first sister in line came forward. She shook her hips in her partner's face with a lot of attitude. He responded in kind and jumped in the air, flinging his locks wildly like a lion. She swirled at her partner like a panther. He spun out on her. His legs shot up in the air. She clasped her hands behind her, only to abruptly smack her palms down on the floor. She stopped. He looked. She stared, they smiled. We all breathed, relieved. The drums were on fire, we're all healing. The village was gyrating in this intense atmosphere, hands flying, one couple after the next, breasts contracting, chests releasing, stomachs rolling, buttocks tightening, bodies sweating. My sister healer, Dr. Jewel Pukram, and I screamed and laughed and shouted and applauded. We flashed our ankhs in approval and gratitude for the masterful way our ancestors demonstrated through Abdel Salam. It was an intense and joyful healing through dance. All right, be gentle. Okay. When the battle was over, the couples embraced, one after the next. Abdel lifted their arms in the air, and they stood on either side of him, and the whole village clapped, for we had all won. This was a conflict that worked itself out without a curse or a slap or bloodshed. Words and emotions were expressed through movements. The language of the soul was spoken. The tension was released through the dance, and we breathed peace and joy in the atmosphere. Everyone was left intact, and the village was ecstatic. This healing dance ritual reminds me of the breakdancing the young Africans and Latin people created and used to do battle in the 70s without guns. Yeah. I was just saying, I was like, damn, the way that is said is like, I'm such a B-girl at heart and like a hip-hop head at heart that I was like, that sounds so familiar to me. She says, aggression, discontent, pride were expressed, but everyone was left intact. So take the lesson, sisters and mothers. Move forward and don't hold on to what's eating you. Put some music on, clap your hands, make some joyful noise, and dance. To dance is to experience inner freedom. To dance is to reconnect to the great mother and father. To dance is to embrace life and passion, joy, exuberance. When you learn how to dance well to any and all rhythms, you will find that no matter what earth or life-changing you have going on, you'll be able to dance with its rhythms. You'll dance so well that you'll never be swallowed up by chaos or fear because you know how to spin around and soar above all the obstacles. Dance teaches you how to leap your spirit out of confusion. We're all spirit dancers. We know how to let the spirit move through us and flush pain or sadness away. We all know how to use dance to enhance our lives. So express who and what you are through your dance. Whenever you're uptight, dance and see what magic happens. Whenever you're lost for answers to your life, dance out a vision of your quest. Dance to commune with your inner self, to commune with your ancestors. Dance joy and peace and beauty into your life. From on high. Dance a healing dance, a dance of freedom. Just dance. Sacred women everywhere, just dance. All right, so our challenge this week with the sacred movement is to find something specific to utilize our sacred movement that we're doing daily, at least, 10 to 30 minutes of. Find something that you feel like it could help you solve this issue or resolve, your emotions or whatever's happening. Maybe even do a dance battle with someone if you can. But find, some way to heal with your dancing or your yoga, womb yoga, or, however it is you do, if you belly dance, if you break dance, if you twerk, I don't know what it is you do, but use it to release, use it to commune with your ancestors, use it to connect with the music, to connect with your body, to connect with the rhythm, and, allow your sacred movement to be a source of healing power, to start the habit of when you have something in your life that needs help, let movement start to heal you. Let it be one of the ways that you heal yourself. So for me, I think definitely with sacred movement, I used to be very self-conscious about the fact that I wasn't like, perfect. I wasn't a professional. And that part will really hold you up. So I really hope that, even if it means turning off the lights or just dressing as best you can and being all alone, turn on that music and really express yourself, because you're not going to get better until you try. And then it's also not about being professional. It's about you. It's about connecting with yourself. You're not trying to be a famous ballerina. Maybe you are, I don't know. But for most of us, we're not. And so it is, and even if you are, this exercise is not about being perfect. It's about connecting with the body, with the ancestors, with the spirit. And my son is spitting. I don't know why. In the background, I could hear him. So anyways, that was the sacred spirit. We'll definitely now talk about the Adinkra studies and the 42 laws, but I'm probably going to do that part of the video inside. For our Adinkra and 42 laws studies today, we are going to be doing last week's and this week's, because last week I was really pressed for time. Quick note on that, y'all. It's so crazy. My husband ended up getting in a car crash, like totaled his new car. Like, we had just bought him a new car. It was like our first car that it was like our first car that we've like been able to just pay for and get him so that he could get to work and everything. And then somebody just pulled out right in front of him. He couldn't stop in time. It's like the other person's fault, and we're pretty sure we're gonna get money for it and everything. And thankfully he's all right. Like, he's been like really sore. I know he got like whiplash, like his like back really has been hurting him and everything, and so he hasn't been able to go to work. So anyways, it's just thrown off my schedules. It's thrown off, like, he had to have to go to a meeting with a lawyer on that Monday. So it was like, it's a lot. And, in his little car, it's like his beautiful car that we just got him is all fucked up and like sad looking. So yeah, like last week I just didn't have time. I had to go to his meeting thing. It didn't even occur to me to offer any sort of explanation. Not that, you guys need it. But now that like the shock of it is like worn off, I'm like, oh, this is like kind of crazy. The airbags deployed in both cars. Like, it was a lot. Like in his, it was like close enough to where he worked, like he was getting off work, that his coworker like witnessed, and like other coworkers drove by, like didn't, so like it was right on his way home from work, and here where I live in the Bay Area, it's like how Foster City and like San Mateo are set up. There's just, it's like one way to get in and one way to get out, y'all. They did not think when they built all these apartments over here, all of these, where I'm living, it has been here for a long time, I guess. But, just right around me, my mother-in-law, when she was alive, she lived right down the block from here. So we had lived with her for a little bit and, visited her here all the time. And there was none of that back then. Like all of this development that I've seen, like all of this, like they put like hella stuff back here, but there's no roads. So there's a shit ton more people, a shit ton more grocery stores is basically all that's here. It's not like things were built here. It was all homes, condos, expensive things for, the wealthier people. And, so yeah, this area is very strange. It's changed so rapidly, in the last few years. And I don't think that they really thought it through accommodation wise with the traffic. So it's like, yeah, it's scary that he got into the accident, but it's like not shocking at all that, he got into this type of thing. So I don't know if that was oversharing or not, but I just felt like I wanted to give an explanation to why my life has been so crazy lately. So last week we had Duafe, which was beauty and hygiene for our Adinkra studies. It's like a wooden comb. There you go. We see this all the time in people's earrings, right? It's really popular for that. The symbol represents the qualities of femininity, of the feminine. Let's open the little book and see what it adds to that. Beauty and hygiene. You're powerful in so many ways, but today you must prioritize exalting your beauty. Spend time taking care of yourself. Reconnect with the external parts of you that make up your identity and reflect your spirit. Purify, detox, and pamper yourself. Make yourself a priority. Appreciate, reward, and put your beauty on display. Remember, you can get these cards at adinkraliving.com. And they're good for studying, for remembering the symbols. You can use them as flashcards. You can use them as tarot cards. You can use them as just general study, whatever. They're so helpful. So, last week's law to study was, I will not sow seeds of regret. Someone's here. I don't know. So, not sowing seeds of regret. It means not doing things that you're going to, you reap what you sow. So if you're sowing things that are going to give poison back later, right? You're consistently not putting wellness into the world, right? This isn't just about think positive. This is just generally how you treat people, how your energy is. If you're constantly combative, you're going to get that combative energy back at you. But as a sacred woman, right, we're trying to fix our energy so that we're using our energy in a powerful way towards what we want. Almost like in that book, The Power of Seduction. It's not so much that, we're technically seducing in a negative sense, but it is a seduction into a more peaceful path, a different way of doing things that perhaps others may not choose because they're not as trained and they haven't put in the effort to practice being a sacred woman. So that's, I will not sow seeds of regret. Remember that what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you're saying, it's all going to eventually come back full circle. It's all cyclical. Most indigenous cultures believe it's cyclical. Do you hear my kids are screaming in the background? They have a visitor and they are loving it. All right. So the last one is we have for today's study, Jwaninemen, which is ram's horns, a symbol of humility together with strength, emphasizing that even the strong need to be humble. It's like the curl of a ram's horn. Dwenimen. Exerting power does not have to be painful to yourself or others. You can assert yourself in a loving way. You can state your point without raising your voice. Your power does not have to be dependent on suppressing another. The ram fights fiercely against adversaries, but it also submits humbly to slaughter. Society constantly displays inaccurate depictions of power. Be mindful not to replicate this same imbalance. Find new ways of defining power. So that was such a pretty one because it reminds us that, we can be these, amazing, powerful creatures and then still recognize that we're a part of the whole, and that there is a balance that's necessary, and that, even for a sacred woman, we should be balancing the masculine and the feminine, the yin, the yang, all of the different, the fire, the water, air and earth, and finding our balance within all of those. Even, someone like me who's a super fiery sign, and has fire all up in here, there, everywhere, and it's definitely my element. I do still have to go down to the waters, down to the rivers, leave an offering, do the spiritual baths, let myself get a wind bath, and it's nice and windy outside, and really, embrace the duality or the multiplicity, or I don't even know if that's a word, but all of those different sects that come together and intersect to create you, and to create humanity, and to create all of these energies, and finding our balance, even as we're better at one thing than the other, is so important. All right. So our law is to this week is I will not be an aggressor. And that reminds us that, even with root work, we're not trying to just throw roots at people, make them feel bad, manipulate, hurt people, hurt. We're trying to, throw blessings if we can, lay hands, create healing. And yes, if there is going to be something that happens, it should not be that we aggressed it. You know what I mean? We're not supposed to be the aggressive person in this unless somebody does something first, right? And then it's a retaliation. You need to throw something back at somebody. You need to stop, this attack on yourself, your family, your home, your business, whatever. Then that's when you need to step up. But it should not be your way to the top is, and then I hexed this person, and then I hexed that girl's boss, and then I hexed her girlfriend so that she would have to move. And, you could just as easily try and bless people to get better jobs somewhere else. You know what I mean? And in that way, you're not the aggressor. You're blessing people. She just got a very nice job far, far away from here. See you, bitch. You know what I mean? And it's like, in that way, you're not the aggressor. You're still facilitating wellness in your community. You're still facilitating wellness around you. The cyclical effects of that is wonderful because, you didn't even hurt your enemy or your, competition. You, bless them in a different way. So, not being the aggressor is such a beautiful law in the 42 laws for us to study because it reminds us of our place not only as sacred women, but as root workers.